Hello and welcome to the Final Bell. It's great to have you with us for another week. We are proudly presented by GMHBA, the official health insurance partner of the Geelong Cats. Thanks to them for all of their support. We're going to have some fun, I reckon, on this podcast after the result from yesterday's game. We're recording this Tuesday morning. We're at the footy club. I am joined, as I am every single week, by Meg McDonald. Hello, Meg.
G'day, Lingy. You're a happy man.
Oh, I think we're all very, very happy. It's a quiet footy club room at the moment because it is a day off for the players. They'd be going through their own recovery protocols and everything like that, but nice and quiet.
Yep.
We'll try and keep our voices down, but I don't think we're going to be able to keep our excitement down because what a win.
What a win. You're getting me back up and about. I feel like this morning I was coming off. Well, what's oh my gosh, I've lost the expression.
I'm
coming down. I was coming down. I was on the downer because I was that up and about at the end. I don't know about you, but difficult to enjoy. It's one of those ones where you love to live in the moment, but if you could have just told me we were going to win by, was it 7 points?
7 points.
I would have enjoyed it much more.
Except for the last 7 seconds of the game.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy a second of that game because
yeah.
it was so even when we had the lead and we're pretty comfortable here.
Yeah.
I never felt comfortable for 1 second. Meg's memo is a huge part of the podcast now. I am interested as to what point in the game Meg's memo comes from because I reckon I'll be able to sense the tenseness.
We must admit, you never listen. But like you haven't pre-listened. We don't have a pre-production meeting, guys.
No,
I don't know if you can tell.
We're not that well organised. We rely completely on Jackie looking after us.
I
haven't
got
listened.
one for you.
I'm just assuming you've recorded this. Is it in different parts of the game?
I don't want to spoil anything this week. I don't want to underwhelm you, but I think it's a memo of sorts.
Post game.
Okay, let's just
hit me with it.
Know if that was me. Well, maybe it was me.
So
enough said.
Words are not necessary in a moment like that.
No, I tell you what though, when can you start recording? So it was more than 7 seconds to go. So I was confident enough with maybe 45 to go that I could press record and it would be celebratory.
45. I still felt I can't remember exactly where the ball was at 45 seconds, but I still had this yuck like, no, but what if this happens and then a quick kick out and this twist? It wasn't until my quick calculations in my head are maybe 15, 18 seconds to go. It's like, oh, hang on, they got to score twice. All right,
they had to score twice. So we've got 15 seconds. We were. But how did you go throughout the game? Because I was early. I'm thinking, we're all over it. Our system looks just like the pressure on the ball, the alchemy between the pressure on the ball, intercepts. They weren't kicking well. So you felt like, we're getting away with some, but I feel like we're on. But then if you had to ask me halfway through the third, I was like, I don't think we're going to win this game.
No, it wasn't. Honestly, it wasn't an enjoyable game to watch. Now, as I flagged last week, I wasn't there because I just could not be there. Huge crowd. I will get to that in just a second. My eldest two boys, Max and Henry, aged 12 and 10, they went to the game.
Yep.
They headed off with actually Stevie J's son as well. Archie went with them, and then a family of Hawthorn supporters. A beautiful family, a wonderful family, despite that being an oxymoron.
Stevie J was there, so he's just sent
Yeah,
You sent Archie
with his family. They've got a minivan. They've taken my kids to this game for the previous 2 years.
Okay.
So they are wonderful. Got to know them through junior footy. They headed off, and all I kept thinking to myself was, please, I want them to have a good day.
I know.
And then I turned the TV on, and it was no longer about the kids. It was about me and my feelings.
Yeah.
And you're right.
And getting the step count up.
Yeah,
just pacing.
Oh, but early on, I was quite comfy in my seat. Yeah. I actually put the recliner, like the feet were up a little bit.
Yep.
And then I started to pace. And there was probably 2, 3 or 4 minute patches where I did not watch. I went and got busy like folding clothes and putting them away, just finding anything in the house to keep me busy because I couldn't watch. And then I took a breath. I'm like, nah, but I've got to watch. And I'd run back and watch some more.
Are you superstitious to the point of, if you're watching and we kick goals, you keep watching, you go away? Yeah. Okay.
Very guilty of that, 100%. It was, it's funny. In games like that, when the game's played in front of 88,000 or over 88,000 people, and a huge shout out. Big. We were calling out last week on the podcast, let's get there.
I mean, congratulations to us for getting it done.
Yeah.
For the Cats.
It was on us. Biggest home crowd in the club's history.
In the club's history.
Amazing.
Which I think we broke with this upcoming game, this Carlton MCG game. Actually, that's their home game. But in any case, last year.
Yes.
So to go again, I mean, thanks to all the Hawk supporters who came along as well. But well done, Cats fans. There were points in the game where there was a Hawthorn chant, and I wasn't happy about it. But come the 2 minutes to go mark, the Geelong chant went around the MCG, and I was filled with pride. I was like, this must feel awesome being out on the ground when this happens.
Yeah, and I think so. People often ask about the crowds.
Yeah.
Do you notice them? Can you feel them? And yeah, in a big goal, you feel the cheer, and a crowd at the MCG of 50, 55,000, 60 is an incredible crowd to play in front of. But you don't necessarily feel like, oh God, the energy of this place. Yeah. But at 88,780, you feel it.
Especially when I think after a goal or a big moment, there's noise. But when you're setting up for a stoppage, I imagine, and things are relatively quiet on the field, you're not in that moment of celebration, and then the chant goes up. That's when you can pay attention to it and feel the moment. So,
yeah, we would always talk, and this is left over from Bomber Thompson's teaching, it'd be the same with all the great coaches like Scotty, but right across the league is learning to understand each other and almost come up almost non-verbal communication, because when you're playing in prelim finals at the MCG and it's in front of 95,000, you cannot hear each other speak.
Yeah.
From me to producer Jakey away, you can't hear. What's that, 2 meters?
Yeah.
So therefore you need to just understand where each other's going to go. Maybe a little signal here and there might be able to help. It's hard. So to then be able to have that opportunity in a home and away game against really good opposition and understand what it feels like to play in a finals type atmosphere, that is huge and gives you a great taste. And not to mention, I got to say, fun.
Oh, yeah, it would be. It absolutely would be. And there looked to be some players lots of Easter Monday debutants, but were able to enjoy the moment. Yeah. I think a number of players had equal parts, a couple of moments where, like, take the match winner, for example. Sean Mannix.
Did I read, sorry to jump in, this is his first Easter Monday.
First Easter Monday. Yeah. Lawson's first Easter Monday. Obviously Bailey Smith's. There would have been a couple others. I don't know if Mitchie Nevitt's player. Maybe he has. In any case, you look at Sean and you think, oh, he got done for those 2 holding the balls. And he's probably going, oh, I wish the ground could do this. That wasn't ideal, particularly sort of the second one. But kept his head, responded, and I think and kicked the sealer. I think that was true of a number of players who, I mean, in any game of football, they go for a long time. You're going to have moments that you don't quite hit, but they delivered when it mattered.
I love the fact you keep using the word moments. That to me, that's the most important in those types of games. Yeah. Huge crowds, huge build-up, good opposition. Ultimately, we're talking finals.
Yeah,
moments are what matter. Those games aren't, and certainly come finals, you don't have the beautiful, nice, neat 35 touches and just everything's perfect and everything's nice. It's hard and it's messy at times. And the skill errors, there were plenty of those on both teams. Skill errors, you think you go to run because we're out and we're on here. He's about to get the ball. And then all of a sudden it overshoots him a little bit and you're out of position. You've got to scramble back. All those. So moments are what matter. And you're right, to be able to move on, say Sean Manor, and go, okay, it's done. I can't fix it. Didn't love the fact I got caught on the ball, but I moved on from it. What's my next moment?
I still want the footy.
Yeah, and when it came to him for the sealer, he was able to execute and nail that moment. A moment leading up to that sealer, we wanted to give a bit of big shout out to was Big Shannon Neal.
Shannon.
The spoil, the tackle effort, the hardness and crucial moment that he could rise to provide an opportunity for his team to win the game.
Yeah, it was great awareness, wasn't it? I think some of our front half forward 50 turnovers were really the difference in the game. And I'm sure he learnt that moment from watching his skipper a couple of plays before.
Oh, yeah.
That was,
yes.
I mean, that's knowing, was it called play on?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know if he just knew he was going to play on. Yeah, called play on because not 15, Jakey.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's watching the footy over the first 5 rounds and knowing what needs to be done. He was going. I don't know how you run that fast towards someone, tackle them and not give away a free kick for in the bag. His ability to roll, and then that creates the who had a shot on goal?
Danger had the shot.
Danger, yes,
Thank
and he
you,
followed up,
Jackie.
has the shot on goal, and then that's the kick in that leads to the Shannon Neal turnover.
The effort, and I mean we've said this before about Danger. He plays with almost a recklessness with the speed with which he approaches contests. But it is the type of presence that worries opposition. They think, oh, hang on, he's coming, and he's such a big man as well. I thought he was outstanding again. It's showing that the move forward.
And the staying forward yesterday. What did you think about that? Were you wanting him in the middle, or were you happy with the backing in there?
I'm always I need to stop myself sometimes and not live in the past and say it's not quite working. Get Danger in the middle of the ground.
Yeah.
Because Danger's 29 years old and is just he'll win the next 6 clearances and away we go.
Yeah.
Danger's older, he's a threat forward, and we've got other midfielders. I'm not saying Danger shouldn't have little bursts in the middle of the ground because I think that's a real weapon to use. But when it's not quite working for us, the go-to shouldn't just be, we'll get Paddy in there. It's not quite working. Let's get our combination right of Bailey, Max, Tom Atkins, Mitch Never, whoever it might be for whatever balance you want.
Yeah.
And let's get them to figure it out and get the next couple of clearances.
As Scotty said last night, you're also looking at a midfield that is Holmes, Smith, Atkins. They're playing incredibly well. As you're saying, no need to change that if you've got such a threat forward with Danger. But I think that's true of the back half of the ground as well, or any part of the ground. You can look at an isolated matchup or an isolated player and think, I would have preferred this to happen there, or do you change the matchup in D50? But it's all functioning as part of a greater whole, Yep. So I think Hawthorn scored well or had a lot of opportunities from centre bounce. That's one form of defence that I'm sure there would have been times where we thought, I'd love to get that one-on-one a little bit more aggressive or perhaps a more senior body in this moment. But most of the footy is played with team defence. You're trying to orchestrate things so that certain players are in certain positions, and you got to hold your nerve and know that players are going to develop.
And look at the makeup of that Hawthorn midfield at times when it's Joe Newcombe and James Warple, and that, strong, hard, big bodies. We seem to, and this is where I think Chris Scott's coaching is just continues to be outstanding, as not wholesale changes in the way we play, but the subtleties of ability to shift a bit is as the team progresses. We've got running power through the middle of the ground now, so it's not reliant necessarily on Blicavs, Atkins, Dangerfield being in the middle, and it's in close and in hard, and those big, strong, taller bodies. it's now Bailey Smith, outstanding runner. Max Holmes, terrific runner. Ollie Dempsey on the wing is covering the ground like lightning. Jack Bowes is such a good runner across the ground.
Yeah, great close in the. He had an important couple of moments, particularly late.
Yeah,
getting across to cover it. Anyway, continue.
So trusting the fact that in our midfield group, our strength is now our running power through there. So therefore, we might lose that centre bounce clearance. Not ideal, not perfect. Of course, we want to win it, but we can also quickly transition, get the ball back, quickly transition in attack, and now we're back into our strength of our game.
Yeah.
And I love the fact we can do that without just pulling that lever of let's send this big body inside.
Yeah, and it's also how you see a whole footy department work together, and a coach who seemingly knows how to stay ahead of the curb in acquiring players for whom that's their strength, and it allows the Cats, I don't want to go too early, but to play really good footy that is hopefully amongst the best footy this year, is to have a team that can cover the ground exceptionally well and value that. You did just mention one player who I don't think we've spoken about much, but it's probably because we just take it as read that he's going to be excellent, in Mark Blicavs. I'm like, he's just, where do you want him? You want him everywhere. And like this, I loved the set shots. He pushes forward. I love his leadership in the back line. There was a moment, Tom Stewart almost made the intercept of the century, but unfortunately led to a James Sicily goal.
Tom Stewart's allowed one mistake in his life.
He's allowed one mistake, but being behind those goals, whether he needed it or not, I don't know. But Blitz was straight over to Stewie, and he was fiery in his ear about really clearly getting around him. As I think Stewie then ran to the bench, and I was like, I love that. You need people who will lead your leaders at times as well, and he's certainly one of those.
Absolutely, yeah. A great pickup by you, Meg. Also, we're going to take a break in just a sec, but am I right? Talk about moments. Am I right in saying there was Blicavs' spoil right at the end? You know when it came in long again for another time, and that pack formed, and it's a sort of one, and this is only this is a 0.01% type thing, but it could be a Hawthorn mark.
Yeah.
That's worst case. But the other one is it falls directly to the front, and it's their small forwards go to work and hang on, there's dangerous. Maybe they draw a high contact free kick.
Yeah.
Blicavs, the timing.
Maybe they do.
The timing of that spoil for it to clear the numbers at the front and to go boundary side, that is, you don't understand. That's difficult to do, and he made
really
it look as easy as
decisive, and the direction on it is so important. There are a couple of plenty every game where you get a good spoil in, but the opposition's front and centre, and it goes through the big sticks anyway. So yeah, the detail on his skill is very nice.
Is brilliant. It was a fantastic win. Fortunately, it did make the weekend really good, because the next couple of results weren't quite our way, but I'll mention them anyway. The VFL, the Cats going down to Box Hill by 46 points. I did notice a McCartan with 25 touches, young Charlie McCartan, doing all right there, which is great to see. Nathan Kruger kicked 3 as well, following up his form in the Vic team as part of the VFL. And unfortunately, the VFLW also going down to Box Hill by 58 points. Tried to fight their way back into it, but probably too far.
Yeah, apparently back. I think they went down early, but I was talking to Georgie Prasparkas is doing some coaching in the VFL program, so I had a review of the game the other morning, and she said she was very proud of the response from the midfield, and there were really good signs, but Box Hill were kicking set shots from 50 or so.
Okay, too strong.
Too strong.
So we'll just quickly gloss over those two results and go back, but. Before we do move on to our break, VFLW this Saturday, 12:05 p.m. at Deakin against the Blues, and the VFL is on Sunday at 11:05 a.m. at Icon Park against the Blues also. So obviously with the Cats senior team playing 3:20 on Sunday.
Get in the car.
Yeah, if you want a full day of footy, get in the car, get to Icon Park, watch the VFL play, and then head across to the G for the 3:20 game. Sounds like a good
Probably
weekend
get a nice
of footy.
coffee in between.
Perfect. Just wander through the city as you're going there. Let's take a break before we do that. The Hoops raffle is back. For just $10 a ticket, you could win your share of over $77,000 in prizes, including a brand new 2025 Ford Everest.
All funds raised help support the delivery of our Cats community programs. So get your tickets now at raffle.geelongcats.com.au.
Ends Thursday, 8th of May, that one, Meg. So grab your tickets as quick as you possibly can. If we could, we're going to take a break and then I want to do a bit of a deep dive onto this huge clash coming up against the Blues this Sunday. Winning a three-peat isn't easy, but at GMHBA Health Insurance, that's exactly what we've done. By winning the 2024 CanStar Outstanding Value Hospital Cover in Victoria 3 years running.
GMHBA have been caring for the Geelong community since 1934 and are proud supporters of the mighty Geelong Cats. Join at gmhba.com.au.
Welcome back to the Final Bell. We are proudly brought to you by GMHBA. Big thanks to them for all of their support. Meg, let's look towards Sunday's game at the MCG, taking on the Blues. 3:20 this game.
3:20.
Be a terrific game. I'll be up working
Exactly
for that one.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Provided the Cats win, of course.
Yeah, of course.
It's when you look at it purely based on how the season has progressed so far, the Cats playing very good football, knocking off the Crows, the Hawks. Carlton have struggled a little bit. You go, oh, yeah, we should. But I think Carlton, despite the fact that you could argue who they've played against, are building some form now. They scored 150 points, or over 150 points on the Good Friday game against the Kangaroos. The midfield are starting to get a hold of a bit of the footy, some of that run and creativity. I'm starting to build, and it's amazing how just a couple of wins and a couple of times of ball in hand and feeling good about yourself, that confidence can come back in a hurry, and expecting probably another really good battle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think their small forwards sort of also found a bit of form, didn't they?
Zach Williams kicked 4, I reckon.
Zach Williams. Who took the good mark?
Is Sammy Durden? Was it Durden?
Durden. That was a great mark. As we were discussing off air, I still have my affection for the North Melbourne Footy Club. That was a tough watch on Friday.
Oh yes, I was working at that one. It was a tough watch.
But yeah, I think they've argued that their defensive system's been in.
I just called Corey Durden Sam Durden.
Oh,
sorry.
that's right. I
Corey
went with
Durden.
it too. Sorry, Corey. Respect. Please don't kick 5 goals on us. Yes, they haven't been conceding massive scores. Is that correct, Carlton, for the course of the season?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, you can only play who you're playing. I love the fact that they were freed up a little bit more. I was working for the game on Friday. That's why I watched them really closely, and they were freed up. They were playing some really good attacking footy. Yes, North Melbourne probably fell away a little bit in the second half, but Carlton freed up. And they showed they can score. And when you got a guy in that forward line and his name is Charlie Curnow, get it in there as often as you can and as quick as you can. And they'll prove to be a handful. We know, so we think back to around this time last year, that incredible game you touched on before, which previously was the best home crowd the Cats have ever had at the MCG. Great game. We were in control, and then Carlton came back really late and nearly pinched it. Then we played them at the G again later on in the year, and they got a hold of us. It was led by the midfield performance both times. Paddy Cripps, Sam Walsh, George Hewitt was excellent on Friday against the Kangaroos.
Wasn't he?
I would imagine that's where it starts again. And it's interesting, isn't it? We were talking about the Cats, the run of Smith and Holmes and these types of players. This is a big-bodied Carlton midfield.
Isn't it? Do you think, obviously the contest is their strength. Do you think for it to be a Cats game, we've got to look to get the ball on the outside? They're very different to the Hawks. You've got two very you got to switch modes pretty quickly as you do in footy in a 6-day break. But Hawthorn like to use the expanse of the MCG, and Carlton are pretty good in the trenches. Yeah,
I think they're certainly happy to play it in a contested game, a stoppage game, because that is their strength. And Tom DeConey in the ruck is a terrific weapon for them as well. We'll see if he comes up against Sammy, or I'm sure he will at certain times, or it'll probably be Reece as well. But yeah, when you say we want to get it to the outside, you can't live on the outside.
Yeah. You can't get it there unless you get it on the inside.
Exactly right. Yeah. And that's where a bit of it falls on to Tom Atkins, who's been in great form. Jack Bowes, who can win the ball inside. And it might be for the sake of what Carlton's strength is with Cripps and the like is Blicavs a little bit inside as well, just as that extra big, long body that can, if not, we're not necessarily winning it super clean, at least disrupting a bit of theirs, and then we can get them on that secondary effort and secondary transition and hopefully open them up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same goes for them, right? I think they'd be looking, if Sam Walsh is in the game and influential and finding the form that he's working into, that spells a bit of danger for us. But as we've touched on, we've got a fair bit of leg speed that can hopefully go with him and curtail his influence. But maybe they're running in opposite directions. I don't know.
That's true. That's true. Unfortunately, we forgot to touch on this in the first segment. Apologies. We will be without Brian Myers based on the concussion protocols, and we hope he's okay. Obviously, we've got great medical staff here, so in really good hands. That was pretty bad to watch, pretty hard to watch. What happened to him? So Brian won't play as he goes through those protocols. Finding that extra, we've got Brad Close and we've got Tyson Stengel, and that really dynamic, and now Sean Manor, that dynamic small forward line. I think that can create a few little headaches for Carlton. They're well set in defence, and it's led superbly by Jacob Wiedering.
Yeah, one of my faves.
Yeah, but then how exactly they match up on all those other options will be a good watch, and hopefully that's where we can get a little advantage.
It's also midfield dependent, isn't it? I felt like Cats fans probably felt some frustration in the Hawthorn game, where I felt maybe in the third quarter we started kicking it from much further out and allowed Hawthorn's intercept game to come to the fore and for them to zone off. Now, Carlton absolutely have that ability, and the difference is if we can run the ball out of the midfield and have that frontal pressure, then it's less of a concern, provided that we bring it to ground. So hopefully that's what we do.
I believe Jake Kolodjasny is
played VFL, is that right?
Yeah, played.
Oh, he didn't in the end.
Thank you, producer Jake. He was set to, but is available for selection coming into this week.
Yeah, if you pick up what Scotty's putting down, I think they'd like to see him play some VFL first, and now our defence is going well. But I'm sure O'Sheen comes back into the team if that was a week-long sauna situation.
So a bit of a watch on a couple of those guys. So always check out the GMHBA health report with the Cats website.
Clark's also been playing VFL, is that right? So see how Jai's going.
Yeah, so there's a couple of options there. With Grind coming out, it doesn't make perfect sense for it to be a Kolodjasny in for Myers out. But who knows? I would have thought if O'Sheen comes in, Ted Closey doesn't necessarily go out. He stays in for Grind, given I'm thinking back to a few weeks ago, I thought Ted as a forward and a pressure forward, and he was able to hit the scoreboard, did really well.
He's quick hand to foot, a bit like Grind. Like there was that great danger handball shootout to the lightning quick snap from Ted. So we had a greater likeness there. And
even us, Meg, you and I, probably don't have a full appreciation of what Grind does off the ball.
Surely, yeah.
I reckon some of the analysis of his GPS data would be pretty phenomenal. I know there was a fair bit of talk over the weekend. I think Ed Langdon might have run 17 Ks and things like that. Well, I reckon if we got a hold of Grind's GPS data, I reckon he'd be in that ballpark as well.
High-speed meters would be up there. He's going for it.
So it's certainly a big out, but maybe Ted can be the one who comes in and does that. Wouldn't see too many other major changes to that team, given unless obviously it's health related. It is a 6-day break. We've had that great break between the Crows game and the Hawks game, and now it's quickly into a short little compact one. But sometimes I don't know if you find the same thing as a player, and actually you probably went through it a lot last season with the AFLW. But if you go 3 games, Crows, Hawks, and then Carlton games, it is 3 games, but spread over a long enough period of time. So maybe post the Carlton game, the cumulative effect of the Hawthorn-Carlton part of it catches up with you.
Hopefully not, because we've got Collingwood, but I know what you're saying.
True.
I know what you're saying.
But that initial, it's a short break between Hawthorn and Carlton, wouldn't necessarily catch up straight away because the 3 games are actually spread fairly well.
Yeah, that it's almost effectively a bye, isn't it? That 10-day break between Adelaide and this weekend. So I hope that's true. I'm sure they back their conditioning in, and the reality is every team's in the same boat. And I think what is good is that the Cats have been able to be fed by a couple of really big wins, and that'll be true for Carlton as well. But I think there's so much to be said for walking in and having you want to treat wins and losses the same, but the natural energy of the entire football club when you have big wins is significant. I noted Scotty last night. I did have a laugh. What did he think? He said, when you lose, it's diabolically bad, and when you win, it's okay. So that's not our burden to bear. We can just be up and about, and I think the players will probably be a bit more up and about than that.
Yes, yeah. No, I agree with that completely. How many games last AFLW season? What was the most compact part of the fixture?
I think we played 4 in 16 days or something like that.
4 in 16 days, yeah. That's hard to get up for.
I was in pre-season. You look back at last season a bit, and it's funny the amount of vision that is getting shown at the moment that I have no memory of. Just suppressed it. Like, I obviously didn't watch that back enough to have had it seared in.
Well, you probably didn't have enough time to.
No, just onwards.
Yeah, onwards and upwards. That'll do us. We're not going to do fan questions today. Easter break, everything like that. Hope everyone had a great Easter. I had a wonderful Easter.
So did I.
We will be back next week to talk all things Geelong and Carlton.
Is it Wednesday next week? Should we flag that?
Oh, is it? Yes. Is that next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't hold your breath. It's coming.
That is my fault. Yep. I get to have lots of fun next Tuesday. We'll be around. We won't go into the details of that one. But once you hit a certain age, you've got to do certain things.
Stretch, mobility. That's what I'm finding.
We will be back next Wednesday, hopefully talking about another terrific Cats win. They take on the Blues 3:20 Sunday afternoon at the MCG. Meg, great to see you again.
You too, Lingy.
We'll be back next week.